I started this out wanting to do a review on the Nikon D3500, and I realized I don't know enough about this camera to really give you all the specifications and all the ins and outs and the technology that's used and the sensor type and all this stuff. And I realized the only thing I could really review on is by telling you the real world usage that I've gotten out of this camera and why I like it and why I don't like it. So that's what we're going to do. Let's start by saying that I do like this camera. I've used it for a couple of years now. It has served me extremely well. It's done its job. It's given me some great photographs of wildlife and people, and I've used it for family portraits. I've used it for the deer photos that I've put out there that you've probably seen. If you haven't, they're on my Instagram. That's at dom.iwc. And anything that I've ever used this camera for has always had some kind of a drawback, but it's not one that you can't overcome. So for example, one thing this camera struggles with is low light. Anything above ISO 1600 it gets very grainy. Anything past ISO 3200 is almost unusable. This camera does not behave well in low light. You're going to have to use some noise reduction in Lightroom afterwards, and sometimes it comes out a little too smooth and fake, and the lower ISO you could shoot in this camera, the better, although up to 1600 is fine. There's a couple of photos I've taken at ISO 1600 that have been wonderful. They've come out sharp and crisp, and one reason I have to thank for that is this lens I have here, which comes bundled with the D3500. Now, when I first got the D3500, this wasn't included in the bundle. This is the AFP 70-300 millimeter DX version of this lens. A DX version means it only works on crop sensors. If you put a DX lens on a full frame camera, you're going to have black lines on the outside. But this works so great for the D3500, and it comes bundled. So if you buy the bundle, which is the camera that comes with the kit lens, the 18-55 millimeter lens, it comes equipped with this right here, the 70-300, and I couldn't be happier. I really could not be more happier with the quality of this lens. And this is after I went through several lenses. I bought the 18-200 AFS, which was not sharp at all. I don't know why, it just wasn't. I had a 55-200, which was okay. It was an AFS, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't great though. Everything changed when I started using the AFP, the new technology from Nikon. This is the way to go. I was so pleased with this. I actually ended up buying the full frame version, which is obviously a lot bigger, bulkier, actually has VR. I bought this version because I just got a Nikon Z5 and I needed a full frame lens, and I couldn't think of a lens better than the AFP 70-300. I know this is the same technology and the same kind of glass used, so I can't wait to take this out with me tomorrow and use it for all my wildlife pictures. Now, some other things with this camera is good at. It's very good at point and shoot. It's very good at having the ability to use the manual controls. It shoots great JPEGs. Nikon's very good with their JPEGs. It shoots RAW if you want to edit your stuff later. All of my photos that I put out there have been RAW files that I've edited. If any of you want any of them and you want to edit them yourselves to see how you like Nikon's RAW files, feel free to leave me a comment. I'll send them out to you. I don't care. They can be all yours. So the drawbacks that I really have with this camera are a couple of things. One, remote photography. You have to use the SnapBridge app. This doesn't have a remote shutter release. You can't use the infrared remotes with this camera. They don't work. It doesn't have a sensor for that, so they cut a couple of corners with this camera, but that's why it costs so less. Video's not great. It's 1080p, 60 frames per second, so if you're looking to do anything 4K, you're not going to be able to. If you're looking to just do little videos here and there, sure. If you see some of the reels I've put out on my Instagram, they were done with this camera. Most of them were done. Anything that had to do with deer were done with this camera. It was just on a tripod, and I tapped the record button. It looks fine. It's not bad. It's just not. It's not great, and doesn't have the option to shoot video in RAW and little things here. It's not meant to be a professional grade camera for video at all. If you're looking to get video out of this camera, you're looking in the wrong place. You're better off buying something full frame that can actually work with video, but then you're going to spend a lot more money. If you're on a budget and you're looking to learn photography, this is the camera. This is a camera that I learned a lot on. I first started off with a Nikon D40 back in the day, and that was my only camera. Then I didn't really pick up photography again until I bought the D3500. So I pretty much relearned everything on the D3500, and I've gotten some really, really amazing results. What else is this camera missing? Bracketing. You can't do any exposure bracketing, focus bracketing. There's no automatic bracketing, which is fine. You don't need it, but it's a nice plus to have in a lot of newer cameras. There's only one wheel in the back. I was actually kind of excited when I got the Z5 where it has the wheel in the front and the wheel in the back. It also has like an ISO button and stuff like that. This one doesn't have those little extra features, but that's all new stuff. This isn't meant to be a camera you would take on events or wedding photography. It's a crop sensor. This is meant to be a travel camera. One huge thing that I cannot stress enough is the battery life is amazing on this camera. I've gone out to the woods and taken upwards of 2,000 photographs on this camera, and the battery's still not dead. I have never once ran this battery to zero. I couldn't even tell you what happens when it runs to zero. I don't even know what the display would say, because I've taken this out so many times and come back to see that I had 2,000 pictures on my SD card and I have 30% battery left. It's rated for 1,500 shots. That's what it says it can take. I've done much more than that every single time consistently on both Nikon and on aftermarket batteries. So if you're looking for a camera you can travel with and bring out with you all day and shoot multiple things all day. I took this camera out to Greece and we went to the Acropolis, we went to the other historical sites in the area, we went to the temples, and I had this camera out with me all day shooting pictures of everything. I didn't even think about the battery life. It wasn't even a question. This is a great travel camera. If you're looking for a camera that you could really have some versatility with, it's this one. It's compact, it'll fit in any backpack. It's rugged, it's actually a very strong build. It's mostly plastic, but I've never had it never felt like it was going to break if I put it in a bag. It never felt like it had to be babied, really. All in all, it's really felt like a solid build. The lenses it comes with, excellent. Anything that says AFP on it from Nikon, the glass is great. Don't even doubt it. The glass is fantastic. The kit lens itself is great. You're not going to get a lot of good aperture out of it. The lowest aperture has 3.5, which is, it's kind of open enough, but that's only an 18 millimeter, and the most closed it goes is 5.6 at the full 50, and 5.6 at 55 millimeters is not that great. So if I were you, if you are going to get this camera, okay, say you've already committed, you said I'm buying this camera. If I were you, I would get this camera, get it with the bundle, so you get the telephoto lens, and buy a 50 millimeter 1.8 lens for about $200. So your full investment will be around $800, and you'll have 3 great lenses, one wide, one telephoto, and one prime lens. And that's all you're ever really going to need when you're using this camera, because if you're ever looking to upgrade your lenses and get anything bigger than that, or go crazy with other kinds of lenses, they're going to be full frame lenses, and you're going to want to get a full frame camera at that point, which is what I did. So those 3 lenses is all you need. For $800 of an investment into the extra lens and the camera itself, you got everything you need to shoot whatever you want. You would shoot wide angle shots, you could do architecture, real estate, corporate events, large groups, things like that, sports. You could have your telephoto lens for wildlife, you could have it also for sports or for any other kind of things you need to get that closer to the action. And you could have your prime lens for portraits and family photos, and you could do product photography with it. Like, these are all things that I've done with this camera and with those 3 lenses that has cost me less than $1,000. And I've made money back on that already just by using it. So if you're looking to get into photography, you don't need to spend a few $1,000s on just a camera body and then another $1,000 on a lens. And you don't need that. You could do it with this. This little camera right here will take the photos you want it to take. It's great for stills. If you are looking into any other kind of crop sensor camera, as far as like the D7500 or the D5600, things like that, those are good cameras in their own respects. They have some better features as far as Wi-Fi and stuff. This camera only has Bluetooth, meaning that transferring wirelessly, very slow. You're not going to be able to do it. If I were you, I'd buy one of these. It's a little SD card reader from Anker. I'll go ahead and give you a link in the description. It costs like $10, I think I paid for it. It transfers at about 100 megabytes per second. It's all you need to transfer a card, and I just throw it in my bag, or I plug it right here, and it never leaves. It's perfect. So all in all, I've shown you a bunch of pictures during this video that I've taken with this camera. They should really speak for themselves, that this doesn't matter the camera that you're holding to a certain extent. Do me a favor, go check out the specs of this camera. I guarantee you it will be the best $600 you ever spent if you're really looking to get into photography, so definitely check that out. Otherwise, thanks very much for checking out this video, and I hope to see you guys out there.